between the big companies, etc., etc. We're going to get to it a little bit later. But as we understand it, the shipping industry contributes 55 billion rands, to the South African economy. Give us an overview of the shipping industry as to what it entails from the front end to the back end, the entire value chain. We just want to get to understand it. Streaming is one of it, which we only do in December or in summer. But tell us more. What else is there? I see a few people fishing as well. I'm not a good fisher. I'm very impatient, so fishing is not for me. But what else is there? There must be a lot for us.
There is a lot.
55 billion rands.
There is a lot. Maybe let me just put it in. Let's call it, when you talk of value chain, let's call it maritime logistics.
Okay.
So imagine a warehouse in Joburg. Warehouse in Joburg, they stuff their commodity inside a container. So the value chain of maritime moves from that container, from that warehouse, and then it will be moved then by whether rail or truck into a harbor, right? But then the important thing is that the ship, ultimately, where Londy will be able to navigate, will not be a requirement if there wasn't a demand in export and import. So there's no shipping without cargo. So there's no Londy without commodity. Similarly, with passengers, there is no Londy without passengers. So we will call them commodity or cargo in this sense. Right. So once the ship is moved from road to rail, from whether rail or road to the harbor, it then gets to a harbor, a port, where we now define it as an inbound section, the inbound section. The inbound section is where your cargo is now being inspected by cargo inspectors to check on quality in that Mr. Kukamur or Mr. Mabaso has, whatever he has, asked for to be shipped is still intact before we get to the ship, before we get to ship it. So the quality checks will be checked as per the shipper, and then we moved on to the terminal. For South Africa, the largest terminal operators are then Transnets. So when we move, in the case of port terminals, we now allocate a slot for this container, move this container to the ship, right, to the designated ship. But behind all this are ship agents. The ship agents will then facilitate the export of this process in terms of documentation. The agent will represent your shipment and the ship owner until that cargo leaves Durban by ship. And then you will also get stakeholders like SARS, because SARS then needs to keep records for our country in terms of tonnage. Like how much tonnage are we exporting and importing as a country? That is why on the SONA you will also get such stats. And and they will also then facilitate tax, which is very important. So then from the cargo, then it moves to seafaring. Now, seafaring is where I play. The seafaring part is where then you will get the crew of the ship, the captain, the engineers, now moving this commodity out to the next country, and then the same process happens again. So when you talk of value chain, the maritime logistics of itself, imagine your cargo and how it's moved. In terms of maritime logistics, it's exactly that. And obviously there's more technical practices involved and technical occurrences that happen in between, but basically that's just it.